What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match preview, but not any match preview. It is the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, which I've got to say is probably, well, not probably, definitely the biggest game under Ange Postecoglou since he's joined the club. It is a massive, massive, massive game. We are 1-0 up going into it. Big night at Anfield ahead tomorrow, which we'll get into all the nitty-gritties in just a moment. But big up to all of you that have joined the stream. We have got a Tottenham update that we're going to get into first, and we're going to talk about Ange's comments in the press conference on Mickey van der Ven, and he says Van der Ven isn't ready to face Liverpool and confirms that he hasn't re-injured himself. And the quote is, with Mickey and Romero to a certain extent, it's about being conservative with them. Mickey got through the 45 minutes at Elfsborg, but he feels he's not ready to step up to Premier League level as of yet, but does confirm that Mathis Tel and Kevin Danso are available to face Liverpool.
Yeah, which is really great news, and we're going to need them, I think, because we still have, as Ange confirmed, around 10 players out still for that game. So still a mammoth task ahead, we know, on Thursday, and it's a massive game in our season in terms of what we can achieve. But when it comes to Van der Ven, I think we have to just take it at the moment in terms of him. He says he's being conservative. He says he's being very careful. The weird thing, I guess, is that he obviously played 45 minutes against Elfsborg, and Ange said on Sunday that he was keeping him on ice, and the plan was originally to play him 45 minutes against Brentford, and they decided that given the quick turnaround, they'll just keep him on ice for the weekend. And then all these rumours start flying around that he's injured, and potentially some even said needs surgery. And now he's saying he's not re-injured. We're just being super careful and cautious with him. Now, is he kind of, I guess, covering his arse when he says that? Has he re-injured himself, and he's kind of just slowly trying to break the news to us that he has re-injured himself and they're hiding it from us? Or is it genuinely just not a re-injury? And obviously what he is saying is following on from what Paul O'Keefe said on deadline day, which is that he said he felt something. He said that he didn't feel right, and that's why he didn't play, rather than a re-injury. So if that is the case, he kind of implied he's going to wait until after that midweek break that we have after the Villa game to bring him back into the fold, which is a shame, because the hope was we would have them fit for this game, and that would really give us a real boost, I think, going to Anfield, having the likes of Van der Ven and maybe Romero back. But it seems as though we're being super, super cautious.
Yeah, I guess only time will tell with what the actual story is. But as of now, as of the Liverpool game, Van der Ven will not be playing, and he is out for that game. In terms of Tel and Danso, obviously very positive that they made the cut for the squad, and they're going to see some sort of game time. He did say on Danso, he was asked if he's going to start, and he says, haven't made the decision yet, but he's definitely going to see some sort of game time, whether it be from the start or coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think he will start, just because Davis and Gray, especially Gray, has been playing a lot of minutes over the last few months, and he's not a natural centre-back. I think I know kind of Danso will kind of be coming in cold, and apparently as well over the last few months he hasn't actually played that much football, Danso, because they've had a midweek break, and he's also been on the bench a few games. So Danso, whether he's fresh he's going to be fresh, but whether he's sharp is a question for going into this game. But he's experienced. He can play the system that we play, with the kind of aggressive nature that he does, and he does fit the style of play we like to operate in. So I think I would start him. I think Gray has done brilliant. I know he was part of the back two that kept a clean sheet in the first leg, so you could argue if he did it one game, he can do it at Anfield. But Anfield,
he was also part of a back two that conceded 6.
That's also true, and Anfield's a different kettle of fish, and I think I'd be more comfortable with him and Davis, Danso and Davis at the back, than I would be with Gray. And I think as much as it is throwing him kind of into the fire straight away, and it's a lot of pressure on him, I think he can handle it, and he's used to these pressure moments. He's played in big tournaments. He's played Champions League football. He can play in these big games. So I'm, as much as, yes, there's a chance that we could throw him in and go wrong, I think it's probably worth doing in this kind of game. But then, can he start 2 games in a week? Can he start against Liverpool and against Villa as well? We have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. But in terms of if he can only start one of these games, I don't see why he can't start two. But if he can only start one of these games, I'd much prefer it to be this one than the Villa game. That's for sure.
It's a bigger game, and yeah, and I guess the more interesting one is Tel, because I think Danso, we kind of, by choice, lack of options, we kind of have to play him, in my opinion. But with Tel, you know, do we play Decky on the right? I guess we'll go through on our predicted lineup, but it'll be interesting to see what he does with Tel, because obviously he's come here to get minutes. He's clearly wanted to leave Bayern Munich because he wants to play regularly. And I know it's early on, and I know it's straight away within a few days of signing, but with Richarlison, maybe rush back a bit. Maybe he's probably played more minutes than he should have since coming back, Richarlison, because of, again, injuries to Solanke and thing and whatnot.
Son's... I mean, they have been very careful with Richarlison, because I know they would have preferred Solanke to ease in the burden a bit, but he was fit for 2 weeks before they even gave him 1 minute.
Sorry, who's that? Richarlison. He was fit for 2 weeks. Yeah, but I remember when he first came on against Everton, he said he shouldn't really have played 45 minutes, and he had to because Solanke got injured and probably played longer than he wanted to. He then started a game after Maddison said he's nowhere near starting games. And yes, they've been managing his minutes, don't get me wrong, but they probably would have liked to have eased him in a bit more than they have, in my opinion. And obviously he is playing a lot of minutes at the moment. He's been coming off, I think, around the 80th minute last couple of games. So I think there's a chance that maybe Tel comes in up front. Obviously, Son's been playing every minute for the last few weeks, a lot of the time, apart from, obviously, came off at half-time against Elfsborg, but he's been playing a lot. And Decky's been playing a lot of minutes and out of position on the right-hand side. And is it a chance to give Tel a run out on that situation and give Decky some time in the middle? So a lot of interesting decisions he's got to make when it comes to Tel as well on this game.
Yeah, and more on Mathis Tel. Loic Tanzi said yesterday that Levy flew into Munich last week because Johan Lang feared that his meeting and presentation with Tel didn't have the desired impact. After meeting with Levy, Tel communicated that he wasn't going to join Spurs. It was as much about showing that he wouldn't be forced into something by Bayern Munich as it was by not being convinced by Spurs. Then Sunday evening, Ange Postecoglou spoke with Tel over the phone. Postecoglou put forward of how he planned to use Tel, expressed how much he valued Tel's versatility and speed, and expressed that he thought Tel could torment Premier League defences with his qualities. It was a long and concrete speech, and it scored points with Tel, who appreciated the coach focusing on his plans for him on the pitch as opposed to the project that the management tried to sway him with. And then Monday morning, the player decided to go to Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, so very interesting stuff. I think that's I felt like, in terms of the permanent transfer that we agreed with Tel, that very much felt like, as much as Tel maybe wants to get more minutes, the fact that Bayern agreed that transfer and they were trying to push through did say to me that they were kind of forcing him in down that line, and Tel maybe wasn't completely comfortable agreeing to a permanent so quickly and for, you know, committing his long-term future here, which is probably why he agreed to a loan. When it comes to like Chelsea trying to hijack, we did hear about Chelsea's interest before we were interested, and he was saying,
I haven't even got to that part yet.
Oh, sorry, apologies, but yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to the first part you were talking about, I think it's right that Mathis Tel takes time to consider this decision, because he's 19, he's at a big club like Bayern, he played 60 games for them. I know he didn't quite come for their academy. He was signed, actually, I think, for around 20 million from Bayern when he was 16, from Rennes. And I think it was always probably his ambition to be a long-term kind of player for Bayern. So kind of ending that dream, you know, a couple years in, is probably a tough decision to make, and he has to make the right call. So whether he rejected us initially or whether he was just taking time in his decision, maybe it was a rejection in a sense that he said, no, I'm not coming on a permanent, I'm not going to be pushed towards it. But when he assessed every other option, he was like, I think Tottenham actually might be the best fit, which I think, in general, it might be true.
So, yeah, like you said, Chelsea did try and hijack the deal for Tel as the player was getting ready to fly to London. The attempt was in vain, however, as the player decided that he did want to join Tottenham Hotspur. So the Ange Postecoglou pull is real. I mean, how many times have we heard players just being convinced by Ange Postecoglou and his presentations about the club?
Well, we did hear about Chelsea's interest before even our interest, or our interest was concrete, I think.
Chelsea was the first team that we had
Yeah, and Plettenberg, I think, said quite early on that Tel didn't want Chelsea because he felt like the competition for places was too high and he wasn't guaranteed the minutes. Obviously, in his position, you got the likes of Sancho, you got Neto can play in that position. So coming in there, and also Jackson still scoring, decent amount of goals. You got Nkunku there as well. Obviously, they tried to throw Nkunku in the deal to get Tel in, didn't they? And they kind of just couldn't agree a deal there. But I think it makes sense from Tel's position. I think this is what I was saying as well when it comes to not Ange himself, but the way we play, that it's good for forward players. We are, whatever you want to say about where we are in the league, and it's not good, but we're still the second or third highest scorers in the league, even in the position that we're in. So that shows that even when we're playing badly and even in the situation that we are in, he will get chances and he can shine, even in the system. Even if the team itself aren't doing well, he can still get chances for himself and score plenty of goals. And even if he plays on the wing, I know there are reports that he wants to play up front and he wants to kind of see himself as a number 9, but all we have to do is look at the positions that like Brennan takes up when he's on the wing in the box, and you can see that Tel can use his striker instincts even playing on the wing in our system, and I think that would have been quite appealing to him.
And Ange as well was speaking about Tel in the press conference, and he says, people need to understand we're talking about a 19-year-old player with a major decision. It's not so much about rejecting us or anyone. He wanted to be comfortable with the decision. He didn't want to be pushed in a certain direction, and credit to him. I had a conversation with him and purely around football, and that I think he'll find a great place here in terms of where he is in his career. We've shown irrespective of age, he'll get an opportunity, and the way we play will suit him. And what we have in the next few months and beyond is a perfect fit. It's right that it took so long as it did, so he's comfortable with it, that he took so much time and was diligent and made the decision when he had the options. It meant the right mentality, right player. He's ambitious with self-belief and self-confidence, and he feels that he can reach the very top.
So, I mean, it's great quotes from Ange. I guess we'll never know the truth. Did he not go to Man United because they couldn't agree a deal? Was there a deal there and he decided that Tottenham was the best place? Was it this conversation with Ange that really convinced him, or was it just the fact that all the other deals kind of broke down, so he was kind of left with Tottenham? We'll never know. But all we know is I'm sure there was a conversation with Ange. I'm sure that before he joined, Ange really laid out how he sees him fitting into the team and all these different things, and I'm sure that would have appealed to him because, as I say, we're a team that is suited to the attacking players. And also I've heard from various scout reports that he's quite a good presser. He's a hard worker as well. He's not one of these players who's a liability on that front. He does put in the hard yards, so I'm sure that would have appealed to Ange as well. So I guess we'll never know the truth, but I'm just happy he's here. And he said as well in the press conference that he was asked, was it an opportunity, or is Tel someone you really see as being part of like the long-term future of this club? And he said that he sees him as a part of the long-term future. So let's hope that everything does go well and that option does get kind of triggered in the summer, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the next couple of months and just seeing how he thrives in the system, how much game time he gets, and I'm sure he'll get a lot of game time. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how it goes because he's a player that I've, really liked for the last couple of years. And I didn't think by any stretch of the imagination at the start of the transfer window that we could get him. But I do remember thinking when, his name got linked to us when Kane was on the verge of moving to Bayern, I was really excited about the potential of getting him, but it wasn't obviously a possibility at that moment in time. But we've got him now, and let's just see how he does. In terms of another official transfer that Spurs have made for the academy is Mason Meslier. That's been confirmed by the club. He's going to join in January of 2026 and has signed a contract until 2031. Irish wonder kid will cost 1.6 million plus add-ons in a deal from Sepp Pats. Due to the Brexit rules, he cannot join until January 2026, which is the first window after his 18th birthday. There were reports as well that Man City tried to sign him last year. Everton, Celtic, Chelsea and Bayer Leverkusen also had a heavy interest in him. And he's actually a really interesting player. I've known about him actually for a while, and he made his debut in the Irish league at 15, and he's been scoring goals in that league. I mean, look, not not like hefty amounts of goals, but he scored 6 goals last season and 2 goals this season, and literally burst onto the scene at the age of 15, which is madness in the men's league. Yeah, I know it's just the Irish league, but it is 15 when you're playing against the likes of 30-year-olds and late 20-year-olds and all that kind of stuff, and scoring goals as well at that time. So he is a real big talent coming out the Irish league, and I think it's quite a coup to get him in because of you look at the teams that were interested in him as well, and he's also part of the under-21 setup at this moment in time as well.
Yeah, I read somewhere as well that the fee we paid is some sort of a record fee. I don't know if it's a record fee for someone his age, or is it a record fee for that league? I think I read it was like some sort of a record fee for that league, but I don't know if it was like for any player or just for a teenager or something. But because how much? 1.6 million
plus add-ons. Yeah.
Apparently
it can go up to like 4 million.
Yeah, maybe. Do you reckon that could be a record for that league? Maybe. Cause
there's also a 20% sell-on fee as well that go back to St. Pat's.
I see, which is great. So look, we really are building a super team of youngsters, aren't we, at this club? And obviously we really went on a binge of academy signings on deadline day. I can't remember all the names. We've got the guy from Liverpool, the guy from Chelsea, the guy from Man City, Batty. So maybe it's because we've got all these young players out on loan, and even using them in a few in the first team that were in the under-21s last season. So they really wanted to supplement that kind of level of football, which kind of been decimated just because they've done so well. So I think that's obviously caused it, but I think it's always good to look to the future. It seems as though that's something we're really, really heavily driving towards. Definitely over the last 18 months, the emphasis on youth players, giving them opportunities in the first team, bringing them through the academy. It's really exciting actually to see all these youth players performing so well. And let's hope maybe, obviously, we're not going to reap the benefits of this probably until 3 or 4 years' time. To be honest, we're not going to really see the fruits of this labour that we're putting it now. Even the guys on loan and all these different things, until everyone's together ready to contribute into the first team at Spurs, it's not going to be for a while. But you can see what they're trying to do and what they're trying to build, and I think it's an important thing. And I think that is one way to, if Levy is very much averse to paying large transfer fees, this is one other way to go around it, I guess, is to try and implement this kind of pipeline of youth players into the first team and try and churn out your own talent. And I'm sure that's kind of the end goal here.
It is the end goal, but it will take a very long time to put it into where we see the real fruits of the labour. It will take a long time. But I heard as well, I read a report saying, not Meslier, because he's not joining until next season, January, but the 3 players that we brought in on the last day that you were talking about, the plan is to get them in the academy playing for the under-21s from now into the end of the season, loan them out to championship teams next season, and see how they go from there.
It was quite interesting hearing, I guess maybe you're having the quotes from Johan Lang, because he spoke and he said 80% of players who make their debuts in the Premier League have had a loan move. Mm-hmm. So he said it's very important for these guys to get their loan moves and get those experiences, because clearly that's you get a higher kind of hit rate when it comes to them making Premier League debuts and getting involved in the first team. So I think that is very important that these players get their time out on loan. But obviously people like Mikey Moore, he's such a special talent, you just got to keep him around.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I don't have those specific quotes from Johan Lang, but I do have some other quotes, because he did an interview on Spurs Play on Spurs YouTube yesterday, talking about the transfer window, and he says, we signed a new goalkeeper, new centre-back and a forward player, so yeah, overall we are very satisfied with that. Then he revealed that he watched Antonin Kinski in person around 12 times as part of the scouting process before signing him. And what was interesting as well, that he was talking about fans questioning why business wasn't done sooner in the window, and he said that's a fair question. We were ready to do business on the 1st of January, but it's not so easy to do that. And Lange did cite a change in the format of the UEFA competition as part of what made an already slow-moving window even more tedious across Europe this year. And the change he's talking about is obviously the league phase went all the way into the, we played Elfsborg, was it, the 2 days, 4 days or something before the transfer window shut. So teams wanted to hold on to their players a bit longer than maybe usual in the January transfer window.
Yeah, and I think that does make sense. However, Lens weren't in Europe, so I don't think it really matters when it comes to Danso. That probably could have been done earlier, in my opinion. Especially there were rumours that they were demanding 30 million euros earlier in the window. Spurs booked that price, and then we ended up getting him for 25. So the fact that we got that money off tells me that we were willing to do it later on, maybe as well with the added desperation of Dragoshin doing his ACL, rather than paying that extra money earlier in the window to get him in a timely manner. So I don't quite buy it with the Danso one. Tel I kind of do, because we know that the news that Tel wanted to leave only really broke in the last week of the window. He even started in their last Champions League game. So
that news actually broke before that Champions League game, and then he started.
and then he started. But it makes sense that deal probably could have only been done for someone like him in the last week. But I think Danso could have been done earlier, and I think it is a valid excuse to an extent. I mean, that's implying that we're only looking at players that are coming from teams in Europe. I mean, obviously, as in European competition, I should say. And I don't think that's the case, because there are plenty of other talent out there from teams that aren't playing in Europe that we could have got from. So I think it does complicate things more than it should, but is an excuse for not being able to get anyone. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't really buy it, to be honest. I really don't, because what you say about Danso with him not being in Europe, then why did it take us so long to get a centre-back in? Why did it take us so long to get him in? It's because they're trying to scrimp and save a few million here and there. That's what it comes down to. It's nothing to do with European competition, in my opinion. But last but not least, we've got some quotes from Djed Spence, and he's talking about the game tomorrow night, and he says, I back myself against any winger, Salah or whoever. I back myself against anyone. And he says, it's been difficult, but we fight for the manager, we fight for the club, and we all believe in what he wants to do. So interesting, strong quotes from Djed Spence. And it'll be easy for Djed Spence, to get the hump about with Ange for not giving him his chance until, quite far into the season, where, he had a clear opportunity where he could have played Spence, but it shows maybe some good head on his shoulders now, because there's been clear things about his attitude over the since he's joined Spurs. And this year it seems like maybe he grew up a lot on his loan spell last year in Genoa, because he's come back and he's really fighting for his spot, and he's a credit to the team whenever he steps on the pitch.
Yeah, and cast your mind back to, I think it was the Bournemouth game, when obviously Ange was having a bit of an altercation with the fans, and the first player to step in defence of Ange on the pitch was Spence. And I think at that point, I don't even think he'd made that appearance against Southampton yet, I think, at that point. So he wasn't really playing much in the team. So clearly he was one who was always got on with the manager. But for one reason or another, Ange didn't choose to play him as much as he should have earlier in the season. But obviously he's giving him his chance now, and he's taking it with both hands. And to be fair to Spence, whenever he's come across a really great winger, he really has kind of stood up to the challenge. I know, obviously, he kept Salah really quiet in the first leg. He was brilliant against Mbeumo on the weekend. Even I know we lost the game 6-3, so and Salah scored twice, so maybe you can't really say he did it. But I thought even in that game, in the 6-3 game, I thought whenever Salah was in a one-on-one duel with Spence, more often than not, Spence was the one coming out on top, and it was kind of Salah taking advantage of Gray and Dragoshin more than Spence in that game. So I think Spence has done really well up against in his one-on-one duels against the wingers in most games. He's come in defensively anyway. So I think he's right to back himself. Obviously, going to Anfield, different kettle of fish, different pressures. He's going to have to do it with that the cop in full voice and all these different things. And Salah's in unbelievable form. Just got 2 goals on the weekend, but Djed Spence is in great form himself. He just had a brilliant performance against Brentford, so I'm sure he's confident he can take on anyone right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So big words from Djed Spence there, and I'm pretty sure he's going to, perform really well, as he has been doing pretty much every time he stepped on the pitch. So big up to Djed Spence. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Now let's move on to the big game at Anfield, and we're going to start off with the predicted lineup. So Ange Postecoglou has been speaking in his press conference. Let's get into the team news going into the game.
So the team news is, obviously, he confirmed that Mickey van der Ven will not be available for this one. He said he's not re-injured. There's a lot of rumours flying around on social media that he has been re-injured. Even one rumour suggesting he needs surgery for his hamstring or something like that. I mean, whether Ange is lying or not, that all we can do is take his word for it. And he said he's not re-injured, and he said that we're just being very, very careful and very cautious when it comes to Van der Ven. And he also said the same with Romero. He also said he's not injured at the moment, but they're just being very, very careful, and they want to get more into them before bringing them back into the fold. He said that Van der Ven got through the game against Elfsborg fine. He just said that the Premier League is just a different kettle of fish, and he said that it kind of commands a different level of physicality, and Van de Ven doesn't quite feel right at the moment, and he doesn't feel like he can do 90 minutes. So he's not going to play. Romero's not going to play. We know Dragoshin, that was confirmed. He's done his ACL, so he will be out for the remainder of the season. When it comes to Odobert, Vicario, Werner, Johnson, and Udogie, I think they're all kind of looked at for coming back just after the Villa game, maybe just before the Man United game. I think that's kind of where they're earmarked for their returns. There's a big kind of chunk of them coming back very, very soon. Vicario apparently has trained all week. I think the BBC even reported that he could be in line to play on Thursday, given that he's trained, but Ange didn't mention him. So I'm going to assume he's going to be kept on ice for a bit as well. Maybe Villa. We'll have to wait and see on the weekend. But he could potentially be involved, maybe on the bench tomorrow. Other than that, Solanke, he's not going to be available till March. Maybe he'll earmark the either the first leg of the Europa League game, potentially, whoever we play. That's what he's going to earmark. So even though we are just getting ever closer, itching closer to having more and more players, we are still set to have about 10 players, 11 players out for tomorrow. So still many, many absentees.
Yeah, which is, a massive source of frustration, obviously. But 4-3-3 formation to take to Anfield as always. And in goal, it will be Antonin Kinski, who obviously made his debut a month ago. It feels like ages ago he made his debut now, but he's been brilliant, I think, for the most part. And when he made his debut against Liverpool in that first leg, he wowed the crowd at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I think his attributes in terms of with him at the ball at his feet is going to be massive for us in this game, as it was at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it'll be an opportunity for us to catch Liverpool out at any given opportunity. Yeah, for sure. And if he can play some of those passes that what he's capable of, and also even the one we played against Leicester the other week, and I know we lost, but he played a beautiful through ball to Decky, and obviously he created a chance there. So that passing ability is going to be crucial. Also, his ability from set pieces, relieving the pressure whenever he can, is going to be crucial, and just being that extra body when we're being pressed, because I think when we had Forster there, I think we just became so much easier to press, because they knew when Forster had the ball, he would either boot it long or you could put him under pressure, and there would be a turnover there. So I think Kinski, hopefully he can play like he did in the first leg. I do think that first leg game was still probably his best performance in the Spurs shirt so far, and that was his first game. I don't think he's quite been as good in the other games, but he's still shown what he brings to this team, and he's going to need a big game. And obviously it's at Anfield, again, different pressure, young keeper. So let's see how he fares. I think what he has kept up throughout his appearances for Spurs so far is how he commands his box and how strong he is from corners, and he's definitely going to need that in this game with the aerial threat of Van Dijk and Konate, that's for sure. Moving on, at right back, we obviously will be looking at Pedro Porro, as we're limited in options, and I feel like Pedro's performances have been getting better of late. Yeah, I think he's definitely improved. Whether he's found a second wind or what, because I don't think he's had a break in any game. Even the Tamworth game he played, didn't he? So I'm trying to think if he's had a break in any game. I don't think he has. So I do think the performances have been getting better. He's had a few more assists this season. In fact, it's gone onto the radar. I think he's got 9 goal contributions this season. What, in all comps? In all comps, I think, and that's a pretty impressive number for a fullback, and which is still pretty decent. Obviously, going to be up against probably either Diaz or Gakpo, whoever it is going to be a tricky customer. So he's going to be at his very, very best in this game. But the only other option, I guess, would be if Gray comes out, you can put him at right back. But I think he's also played just as many minutes probably as Porro recently, so I think Porro will start. Yeah. Right centre-back, we are going to give a debut to Kevin Danso, and I think we have to play him. I think he's pretty much our only natural centre-back, because you've got Ben Davis, who is, you would argue, is a natural centre-back now, but he's more known for being a left-back, and then you've got Archie Gray and you've got him. So I think Danso just has to play. Yeah, I think we are going to chuck him in. And as much as I think Gray's done well, I think on this occasion, big semi-final, we need that experience, especially that's at Anfield. And especially given the fact that Gray has probably been overplayed over the last few months anyway, it's a good opportunity to maybe give him a rest. And I think given that Danso's our biggest senior centre-back, and I know he's just signed, so he's putting him in the fire a bit. But I think hopefully he'll just swim, and he'll absolutely fly, because we're going to need him in this game. And it's a bit frustrating because we could have had him and Dragoshin, and we could have had 2 senior centre-backs, but as soon
we only brought him in, I guess, after Dragusin has done his ACL, so it's kind of 1 in, 1 out, and it doesn't really change the numbers we have in that position. But I'm excited to see him on his debut, and we know he's very, very aggressive. And what's good in a way is that he's really physical, which we don't really, without Dragusin now, we don't really have, and obviously Van der Ven and Romero out, we don't really have that real physical presence at centre-back. And if I'm looking at a centre-back who could bully the Liverpool forwards, who, without Nunes, they aren't the most physical players, he could really be the one to bully them, I think.
Guaranteed he's getting a booking in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Guaranteed. Left centre-back, we are going to go for Ben Davies. I think the ever-reliable Ben Davies. I think he's been good since he's come back. Probably his best performance last time out against Brentford. I thought he was real top-notch in that game. And more of the same, because we're going to need his experience.
Yeah, and hopefully that those two together kind of develop a quick partnership. I think they should, in theory, complement each other. You know, Danso being that bit more aggressive centre-back, and maybe Davis covering a bit and being just mopping up after Danso. Maybe that's how they're going to play it. Obviously, Davis doesn't have that pace, but maybe it could go the other way because Danso's got the recovery pace potentially. But hopefully they should really complement each other. I think they're both comfortable on the ball as well. That should help with our building up from the back. So let's see how they get on together.
And then the last of the back four will be Djed Spence at left back. I think he's faced Salah twice already this season. I know in one of the games we did concede 6 goals, but I actually think from a personal point of view, I think he performed really well in both those games. Obviously a lot better in the first leg at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but this is at Anfield and it is a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, and we're going to need him in that form that he was in the first leg, because in all honesty, I don't think I've seen Salah so quiet in any game this season than he was in that game, and that just is a testament to how well Spence did play. He's in great form, looks like he's in a confident mood at the moment. Djed Spence, you heard those quotes as well we're talking about, so let's hope he can keep Salah quiet again.
So moving on to the midfield, in the number 6 position, we're thinking Bentancur is due to start again. I think since his return from injury, he has been brilliant. Against Brentford, he did such a great job of screening that back four, protecting that back four, and we're going to need a carbon copy of that performance at Anfield, if not even better. But I have no doubt about it that Bentancur can do it, because I think he's been brilliant since his return.
Yeah, I agree. I guess it's between him and Basuma, obviously. I think they're both actually playing quite well at the moment. But it was interesting to hear Ali Gold. I was watching his video before, and he was talking about, and also, you know, it was being updated that he's really looking like he's becoming a bit of a leader on the pitch, whereas maybe before his injury and maybe last season he was kind of a bit quiet and reserved on the pitch and wasn't quite loud. But maybe with the kind of young players in the team like Bergvall and Gray, it kind of needs, he knows that this guy is actually, when you think about it, this guy's got a lot of experience winning trophies. He's won 3 Serie A's. He's got a lot of experience in big games and big moments. And at his age, I think now he's 27. It's probably time that he starts taking a bit more of a leadership role on the pitch, especially when you've got these young teenagers there trying to get through games. So I think he's trying to do that, and I think that's clearly being appreciated by the club and the management at the moment. And as well on the pitch, looks like with every game he's getting more and more back to his best. So I think he has to start again.
Yeah, and Ali Gold also stated, he's trying to make up for lost time a little bit because he's just missed so much football over the last couple of years. So hopefully we can get a long stretch from him now, to the end of the season, with no sort of accident or anything like that, suspensions or injuries. So it's good to have him back. In terms of the other 2 midfielders, the first one we're going to look at is Pape Mathis Tel. I feel we're going to need his legs desperately in midfield. And hasn't been on the greatest form, but came on against Brentford and obviously provided that brilliant goal that won us the game essentially. And at a really tough place to go. So hopefully that can give him a bit of confidence to go into this game and try his stuff again.
Yeah, he's got actually, midfield is one of the ones, he has a few options. And because he could go Basuma and Bentancur again like he did on the weekend. We know that Sarr had been struggling with a niggle, but he seems to have come over that, obviously, with the goal he scored on the weekend. Bergvall, obviously, we'll talk about him maybe in a bit, but he played 45 minutes on the weekend, but is that a view from him starting at Anfield? Was it him to give him a breather? We know in the first leg he got man of the match and obviously scored the winner, so he can play against this level of opposition. Could Decky come into the centre now that Tel's here, potentially? But we are going to go with Sarr. I think we both agree that his running power, his ability to cover the defence and his sheer kind of just stamina is going to be very vital in this game. And I know he's not been in the best form, but maybe that goal on the weekend is kind of just the tonic he needed to kind of get back into shape. So we think, given the fact he didn't start, he should be fresh for this one.
Yeah. And then to make up that midfield three, we are going to go for Lucas Bergvall to make up the three. Man of the match performance last time out against Liverpool, got the winner, and he was just brilliant. Yeah, maybe a bit lucky to stay on the pitch and maybe even be available for this game, but I have no doubt about it that he's going to put in a performance for the ages in this one, because he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant, got the winner, and nothing really phases him. Nothing phases him, and he only played 45 minutes on the weekend, so he should be a bit more fresher going into it.
Yeah, and he had exactly had a bit of a breather, and he seems to be a player that has like 3 lungs as well. He seems to be non-stop running, and I know he's been very tired recently with the games he's played, but hopefully a little breather. He also did he start against Elfsborg, or did he come on? I'm trying to remember now. Didn't he? I think maybe he came off at some point. I can't remember.
He started, yeah.
Did he play 90 minutes?
I'll check, but I'm not sure.
Either way, the fact that he got man of the match in the game in the first leg shows what he's capable of against this level of opposition. And even though it's at Anfield, you know, there is evidence of him going away at a bit of ground with a big atmosphere, like when it was Galatasaray, and he kind of buckled on that occasion, but maybe he's learned from that experience.
He's in a different phase now, though.
Yeah, exactly. He's a very different phase. He's not new to this team anymore. He's now being a consistent starter, and he's doing it to great effect. So the only other thing we would do is potentially put Decky in there and Tel on the right, but we are going to put Bergvall in the centre.
All right, and then moving on to the forward line, on the right-hand side of the attack, we are going to look at Decky. Dejan Kulusevski, and I feel like he's not playing his best football at the moment, but even when he doesn't play his best football, he still makes a real impact in the game, doesn't stop running, and he's got the X factor, that magic that can really hurt this Liverpool back line, so he has to start.
Yeah, what was interesting on the weekend, obviously we took the opportunity to get him back in the middle only for 45 minutes with Mikey Moore starting on the right, and I think he probably looked better than he has in a few weeks in that first 45 minutes for me, Decky, I think. And I think Ange will try and want him to be in that centre, but maybe in this game with Tel just joining, is it too early to throw him in? I don't see Tel playing the other 2 positions just on this occasion, I think. So I think the only place he probably would have started is in this position, but because we want Bergvall in there, we want the legs in the middle. We're thinking Decky will start on the right and Tel on the bench, but maybe the view of Decky maybe moving into the middle later on in the game and Tel coming on potentially.
Potentially, yeah. On the left-hand side, we will go for the captain, Son Heung-min, and he's actually taken a real uptick in form over the last couple of weeks. I thought he was really good against Brentford. The first half against Elfsborg, he absolutely ran them ragged. And we all know that he loves a goal at Anfield. He loves a goal against Liverpool. And if we're going to catch them out with the kind of long balls from Kinski, it's going to be Son that's going to be hurting them.
Yeah, he seems to have really upped his game. He looks a lot sharper, a lot fresher in the last few games. I think everyone can see that, and his goal output is definitely improving as well. He got a couple of goals against Hoffenheim, 2 assists against Brentford as well. Against Elfsborg, that's one of the best performances we've seen from him in a very long time, albeit the level of opposition. So he's not going to have Trent to deal with. He'll have Conor Bradley, I think, in this game. He'll probably back himself in that duel. And if we can see the Son that we've seen over the last few weeks, maybe he's got a good chance of getting on the score sheet. I think he probably has. Does he have a decent record at Anfield? I think he's scored a few goals at Anfield.
Yeah, he does have a decent record.
Yeah, he's got a decent record, so maybe he can carry that on.
And another player that's got a decent record at Anfield is our number 9, Richarlison, who will be starting up front, in my opinion. There is a option to start with Tel, even in the number 9, with Richarlison, still easing his way back from injury. But I just feel like Ange Postecoglou will err on the side of caution a bit with Tel, maybe starting on the bench, get him a few minutes in this game in a view to start the game against Villa on the weekend. But Richarlison, he always seems to score, whether we win, well, we never really win at Anfield, but when we draw or lose or whatever happens at Anfield, he usually is on the score sheet.
Yeah, I think for Everton as well, he's had a few goals at Anfield. So this is obviously a ground he loves. He's going to be well up for it. He's going to work his socks off. He's going to be a nuisance, and we're going to need him at his very best. And look, I think maybe performance level has been amazing since he's come back, but what he has done is provided impact. He's scored goals, he's put himself about, and we're going to need him to do that in this game. So we're going to go Richarlison. I actually think, though, Tel will come on with maybe half an hour to go. That's my prediction.
I'd agree with that. But yeah, let's run through that team with you guys one more time. So it's Antonin Kinski in goal, Pedro Porro right back, Djed Spence left back, Danso and Davis is the centre back pairing. Bentancur, Sarr and Lucas Bergvall in the midfield 3 with Decky on the right, Sonny on the left and Richarlison up top. That is your predicted lineup to take to Anfield in the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. And if that is the team, in terms of options that can come on and change the game, you do have the likes of Tel, who will be making his debut off the bench. You've got Mikey Moore as well, who had a really good performance against Elfsborg. So there are a couple of options, even though they are, limited.
Yeah, you probably have one. You probably have Basuma on the bench. You on centre. You have Gray on the bench potentially. So hopefully the bench will be a bit healthier than it has done in recent weeks, but still not at the level that we need, to be honest, to be battling. But hopefully, I think after the Villa game, by the time the United game comes around, maybe that'll be a different scenario. It's just a shame these games weren't a week later, and it's just reality, unfortunately.
Yeah. But that is your predicted lineup. So let's move on, guys. Let's just get this off your screen for you. And we'll move in to the match preview, the last segment of the stream for you guys. And I can't stress this enough. I cannot stress how important and how massive this game is for Tottenham Hotspur. We're going in with not the healthiest of leads, but a lead nonetheless. 1-0 is never enough to go to Anfield with. It's going to be a backs against the walls job. Liverpool are going to be on it. They're going to be playing their strongest team with Plymouth in the FA Cup in midweek, and they've got a big game against Everton a week today. But we just have to find something extra in this game. We need to go into the deepest, darkest depths of something and just find some sort of performance. It's worth noting as well, if we do lose by 1 goal, it goes straight to penalties in this game. So I think that does favour us a little bit, because we don't want to be going to extra time. Yeah,
because they probably had the firepower to bring on, and we saw, I know it was a different scenario, but we saw when we played Tamworth, as soon as it went to extra time, it was only going to be one winner, and you maybe get the feeling in this one, if we can just drag ourselves through this 90 minutes, if we're losing by a goal, I think we'll definitely prefer penalties than going to extra time. Albeit, Ange said, we might face extra time or penalties in this game. I was like, maybe there is extra time, but I'm pretty sure it goes straight to penalties. So maybe Ange doesn't even know the rules of the semi-final himself. I'm not sure, but all I remember is, unless it's changed, I definitely remember when we played the Carabao Cup a few years ago, semi-final against Chelsea, we drew, and it went straight to pens. No, before. It was under Poch.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, and we were at Wembley, and we won the first leg 1-0, we lost the second leg 2-1, and it definitely went straight to penalties. So unless it's changed since then, I'm pretty sure it does go straight to penalties. And so maybe Ange doesn't know the rules, or maybe I'm wrong. But what I would say as well, in their last kind of few home games, Liverpool, in their last few home games, they have had a tendency to kind of go 1-0 down.
There is extra time.
So have they changed it then?
It says EFL clubs voted to scrap extra time in the Carabao Cup before the 18-19 season. For the second leg of the semi-final and final, an extra half an hour will be played before going to penalties should the score remain level.
That semi-final was the 18-19 I'm talking about. So that was the last year they didn't have extra time. Yeah. I see, so there is extra time. So Ange knows the rules better than us, fair enough.
Which you would expect.
You would hope. So there is extra time, which isn't great, but is what it is. Is the rule still stand with away goals after extra time, or is that scrapped? I'm guessing that's scrapped.
I think away goals across the board have been scrapped, haven't they?
Yeah, but there used to be that rule, wouldn't there? That away goals.
That's how we took it to extra time against Arsenal that time with Mido's goal.
Yeah, the rule used to be the away goals were scrapped until after extra time, and then the away goals counted after extra time, which would be a massive benefit to us if that was the case, but I'm guessing that's not the case. In their last few home games, Liverpool have had a bit of a tendency, though, to go 1-0 down. Against Fulham, they went 1-0 down quite early. Man United, they went 1-0 down. Against who else was it? Wasn't at home, but against Forest recently, they went 1-0 down quite early. So they have been conceding a few goals early on in their games in recent weeks at home. So maybe there is a case we can catch them out cold early on if they're not quite on it. But I think knowing Liverpool and knowing the occasion, I'm just going to assume there's going to be a massive wave that we're going to have to face kind of early on. And we're going to have to kind of make sure we ride that wave and make sure that we get through those first 20 minutes unscathed.
I don't know actually what the rule is now, because I'm seeing an article in The Independent on the 19th of December saying any quarter-final match which finished a draw after 90 minutes will go straight to a penalty shootout, and the same is true for the semis.
Okay, so
so everyone's reporting something different. I don't know what the rules are.
Guys, do anyone in the comments know if it goes straight to pens or is it extra time? The comments usually knows best.
Another article in The Independent on the 23rd of January says in the semi-finals extra time will be played.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think it will be late. I think there is extra time.
So there is. It's extra time. Someone says, and someone else says straight to pens. Oh, you're trolling. You are trolling. I don't know. I don't know if it's one or the other. Either way, let's hope we can do it in 90 minutes, and it'll be a big surprise when we see. But what was I saying? So yeah, they in their recent home games they have conceded a few goals, but I'm going to assume that there's going to be a massive wave we're going to have to ride in the first 20 minutes.
100% extra time. I'm looking at the official rules.
The official handbook Ben has got.
Where either semi-final, second leg, or final tie goes to extra time.
Okay, so we'll be extra time now. We've seen that for example, when we played Man City at the Etihad, if we kind of had to ride away for the opening exchanges, and then once we settled into the game, we really took hold of it. The game, obviously, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium early last season, it was a very, very close game. And once we got kind of control of that game, we did start to create chances, and we did limit Liverpool to really not many chances in that game. So we have to make sure we're defending properly like we did on the weekend, make sure we're getting our clearances in, keeping our concentration, making sure we're working as a team. That's going to be the most important thing going to Anfield, because the crowd are going to be up for it. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a great atmosphere. They're going to be roaring their team on. The amount of times they've seen their team commit a stage of comeback in over the years, they'll have full belief that 1-0 means nothing.
The way Liverpool fans are thinking about this coming into it, they think it's going to be a walkover. They think 1-0's nothing going into at Anfield, and they back themselves to batter anyone at Anfield, not just batter anyone at Anfield. So we really are going up against it tomorrow night.
Into the Lions' Den.
Yeah, absolutely. But you look at it, right, and it's been so much negativity around Spurs over the course of the last 2, 3, 4 months, however long it may be. But right now, I actually think there's some sort of positivity that's going through the club at the moment. It started off that Elfsborg game with the kids coming on and scoring, and everyone was elated with that, and we kept a clean sheet in that game. Yes, you're going to say it was only against Elfsborg, but we backed that up with a win against Brentford, a backs to the walls job, great defensive display. So I think we're going into this with, a bit of a good feeling behind us. 2 clean sheets in a row. One of those clean sheets coming up against one of the really good attacking sides, particularly at home in the Premier League. So I feel like there actually is like some sort of a good feeling Spurs going into this with. Yeah,
and Tottenham will have belief that they can get through this tie, and as well, what I'm certain of is Spurs will have belief they can score against anyone, against any opposition. Whoever they face, whatever kind of stage it's on, they believe that we'll believe we can score goals, and we'll believe we can go to Anfield and we can get goals that we're going to need to get through this tie. And it's important to know, and it's as much as going to Anfield is a daunting task, we don't need to win. We only need to draw to get through this tie. We just need to level the scores. We don't have to go there and win the game. So a lot of people saying I can't see us going to Anfield and winning, and that might be true, but we don't need to. We just need to get the draw, and that's very, very important. That's how crucial that goal was at the Tottenham Stadium, just to give us that little bit of buffer. So it'll be interesting to see how we approach the game. Do we come out flying and try and score early? Do we try and just ride that wave at the beginning, backs against the wall, and try and settle into the game? Either way, it's going to be extremely difficult. We know Liverpool are the best team probably in Europe right now, the way they're playing. But we've already done it against them in one leg where they had a very, very strong team out there. So that will give us confidence we can go there and go toe-to-toe with them, I'm sure of it. And if we can have the kind of team spirit we had at Brentford going into this game, we defend as a team, as we have done, make sure we're not giving up good chances like we did at the Tottenham Stadium, then there's no reason why we can't feel like we can go there and get the result that's needed to get through this Carabao Cup. There is a part of me that feels like it's just written that we will go through. There's a little part of me that does believe
Come
that.
on!
But there's just a part of me, it just feels like it's just written in the stars. It's just one of those. But
that's why they call you deluded.
Maybe. And it might be. But
to be honest, I feel the same way.
It feels like it's written how the Carabao Cup has gone for us. We've been so good in it, and we've got through, the way we got through against Coventry, how we've beaten Man City, how we've beaten Man United, how we won the first leg, the way we won the first leg as well, the fact that Bergwijn didn't get sent off and he scored the winner and we played so well. The fact that so many things have been going against us, yet we're still in this competition and we're still here. I know obviously it's a different competition. Just reminds me a bit of the run we had in the Champions League, just the way we've just gotten through, just managed to get through these ties. Like maybe we've got another special night ahead of
On
us.
top of that, and Postecoglou always wins something in his second season. doesn't he?
Exactly, he always wins something.
You know, you talk about going into the Lions' Den, and you talk about, you know, really going up against it this weekend, and, you know, Liverpool always backing themselves. Do you reckon Ange Postecoglou's got them on the training ground with speakers and you never walk alone?
I don't think he needs to go that far, but I'm sure he'll have the side well prepared, no doubt about it. And what was interesting, listening to him in his press conference again, the Moose, Ian Abrahams, was asking him a question, and he was saying, he asked the question that everyone seems to ask in the press conferences is, you know, going to Anfield 1-0 up, are you going to be a bit more pragmatic? Are you going to, you know, shut up shop? And he's just looked exacerbated, and he said, I don't understand how many times after sitting in my press conference, I don't know if you guys are listening to anything I say or whatever, but people think my philosophy is just to go gung-ho and not care about defence, but my philosophy is to win football matches, and I'm going to go there to set up the team to win and get through this tie, wherever it takes, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to go the best way possible.
I feel that we set up the same way as we did against Brentford. You know, don't let the fullbacks be too adventurous. You know, keep them on their job, keep them defending, and we spring when we need to spring, when the gaps appear for us. And we use Kinski as an out ball to really, you know, beat their traps that they're trying to do, because they're going to come out for us. They're really going to come out for us. They need to. They're 1-0 down. So I think there'll be gaps for us that there always is at Anfield. You know, how many times have we gone into an Anfield game thinking, oh, we're not going to get any chances, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's always chances in there for us.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say as well, as much as Liverpool are a brilliant team, don't get me wrong, this is not me saying that it's going to be easy, but I think it's fair to say in the last few weeks they probably haven't been on the kind of form that they were before. You know, I know they've been winning games. They're just such a good team. They can play badly and win. But against Bournemouth, they could have easily dropped points. You know, they dropped points against Fulham at home, and they went down to 10 men against United at home. They weren't great in that game. I know they could have won, but they could have easily lost that game as well. I know PSV was much rested, but they lost that game. Brentford away, that was the Brentford away took 2 last-minute goals to score to win that game, and go over the line. So as much as they've maybe like showing obviously signs of champions getting these wins, either late in games or whatever, like since maybe, you know, they beat us 6-3, they then beat West Ham 5-0. Since that kind of run, they just haven't maybe been their most kind of free-flowing selves, I think it's fair to say. And maybe this isn't... No, they drew a Forest away as well. So maybe there is an opportunity to catch them on an off day, potentially.
And on top of that...
And they lost to us as well.
Yeah. I mean, on top of that, though, I just feel like this means so much more to us than it means to them. The fan base... Maybe not the players, because, you know, they're playing under a new manager and they want to get that first trophy under the belt. But even the players, because you look at the players in our squad, a lot of young kids, right? They're going to be fighting tooth and nail for every single ball. It's going to be a battle out there, and I feel like the Spurs players are going to be well up for it. And we've seen in the Cups, that's what it's been like. We've saved our best performances for the Cup this season. Liverpool probably saved their best performances for like the league, and I think that's, you know, the first and foremost thing on their mind at the moment. We know this is the biggest game of our season. Liverpool are not thinking of it in that way. You know, if they win the Carabao Cup, then yeah, it's great. They're the holders and they want to win it, but this could like shape our season completely. Like if they win the Carabao Cup and go win the league and go win this and go win that, the Carabao Cup's just going to be some small sort of segment in their season where this could be like the main goal in our season.
100%. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm sure they probably have dreams of a treble like Man City did a couple of years ago. But of course, this means a lot more to Spurs. There is a feeling for me that Liverpool clearly have bigger fish to fry. They've got their league challenge. They finished top of their Champions League group, so they're in a good position in the Champions League as well to take anyone on. I feel like with this, as much as I'm sure I have no doubt they're going to go all out to win. I'm sure they're going to give their all tomorrow. There is a feeling that this just means that little bit more to Tottenham, and this is kind of what our season hinges on in a way, and we're going to be absolutely fighting tooth and nail. I just really hope that we don't start the game and they get an early goal and all of a sudden that momentum and pressure piles on us. If they get an early goal, obviously, you know, with the young team we have, you know, is there a chance the heads start to drop and we start to feel like the inevitable is coming? I really hope that doesn't happen. But also, I've said it, and maybe it's been mocked, but even in the losses we've had a lot of the season, apart from obviously the Liverpool game, they've all only been by 1 goal. So there is a good chance, even if we do lose, it might only be by a goal, and that could take us to penalties. So I think there's every chance that could happen. But we got to go there with full belief that Well, look, I think we've probably got to go there and try and win. That's how Ange will try and approach the game. I don't think he's going to go there and try and settle for a draw until maybe the last few minutes. If we are drawing, obviously we'll try and see it out. But I think we are going to go and try there and win. That will be the approach. That's the team we are. We're going to try and score goals. And if we can get a goal in that opening half, that will be massive for us. And that will really give us a platform to try and manage that game. But obviously if Liverpool start strong, they get an early goal, with the crowd behind them, it's going to be tough to kind of overcome that.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we go down, it's true. If we go down 1-0 early at Anfield, you can, a lot of players
sucks you in.
Yeah, a lot of players have spoken about it before. How it does suck you in. You feel like sometimes the walls are closing in on you.
Arteta even
in a big game like that.
I remember Arteta was in the documentary, said the one team that he's gone into the game, and obviously he usually goes into games feeling they can win. There's one ground where all of a sudden you get behind and all of a sudden you're looking at players, they're running beyond you, and just the crowd is so loud, you lose concentration, all of a sudden it all gets away from you. And that one ground was Anfield, he said, that one ground that happened to him. And it was just an experience that was so hard to manage. And that is just one thing.
That's why he plays You Never Walk Alone on the training pitch.
Well, he still has never won there, has he? I think he's got a few draws there, but I don't think he's ever won there. So it's an extremely hard ground to go to. And if we're going to go there, obviously without Van de Ven, without Romero, and without all these other players, we're going to do it the hard way, and that's the only way Spurs know how to do it.
Yeah, and look, it plays into our hands, obviously, that we are 1-0 up, and I am really frustrated because, you look back at that game a month ago, and we should be taking a bigger lead into this tie. That offside was a slither offside. We had other chances to put them away as well.
Porro had that chance.
Yeah, exactly. We were the better team on the day, and I think we were good for more than one goal, and it's just that might be the thing that we might look back on and say, that's what lost us the tie. But
missed opportunity.
Yeah, missed opportunity in the first leg. So it's a shame, but we got to not worry about that, not think about that, and just go to Anfield with full belief and try hit them early. If we get a goal in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sit strong and, take a 2-goal lead into half time, then anything can happen.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great game. Obviously, we'll have a keen eye on what happens tonight as well between Newcastle and Arsenal. That's obviously probably not a foregone conclusion now, given the form of both teams has switched. So we'll have to wait and see. Do you reckon tonight's result has any bearing on the psychology tomorrow?
Yeah, I do actually. I feel, maybe not the psychology, but the footballing gods. I feel that if Arsenal go through tonight, we're going to lose. And if Newcastle go through tonight, we're going to win. Because Spurs and Arsenal don't play each other in finals.
No, we
don't. It just
don't.
never happens.
Well, and also, if Newcastle do go through, I mean, obviously, look, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but, if Newcastle do go through and with the form they're on, is there a good chance there if we do meet them in the final, we can really do something?
There is. I know we've lost against them twice this season, but I still feel in both of those games we gave a really good account of ourselves, and you could see how we could have won those games, maybe because of missed opportunities. And I feel like in a final, it's like basically the bottle jobs final, basically. Maybe not Newcastle, you can say they're bottle jobs, but they did get to final. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, and they lost to Ten Hag.
Yeah, they lost to United. So Newcastle have actually one of the only other big teams that have a longer goal trophy drought than us. So it'll be a massive occasion if Spurs play Newcastle in a final. It really will be. And I think we can do them in a final. But let's not talk about Spurs getting Spurs in a final as of yet. We'll leave that to the cup final preview. But let's focus on the semi-final. Let's focus on getting through. And I also think a lot of fans outside of Tottenham, Liverpool fans, nobody's given Spurs a chance tomorrow to go through, even though we are 1-0 up going into the game.
No one gave us a chance on Sunday against Brentford. Literally, well, Carragher before the game, if they don't concede at least 3, I'll be very surprised. Yeah. He said at half-time, reportedly, I mean, I wasn't watching that bit, but reportedly he said at half-time that, don't worry, Dr. Tottenham will turn up in the second half, and that didn't happen. I'm sure everyone's going to be writing us off. I'm sure everyone thinks we're going to go there, be naive and get turned over and lose 3 or 4-0. That's what everyone's expecting. But hopefully we got some tricks up our sleeve. And I think also Trent will be a big miss, because I think in the first leg, Liverpool really didn't threaten until he came on. Yeah, and when he came on, it really changed it. And obviously he had a shot clear off the line and he was a massive influence. I actually think, I know as much as maybe defensively, maybe there's going to be less gaps with him out the team, I do think they missed a lot going forward with that ability he has.
And you know what as well, I was thinking about this about the corners that we were doing against Brentford, right? Bissouma was actually doing a really good job trying to rough the players up, put pressure on the goalkeeper and everything like that. And how many times have we sat here and say Spurs are too nice, Spurs are this, Spurs are that, Spurs are a walkover? But we were anything but that on Sunday against Brentford. And maybe that's kind of something turning within these players, and something to look at, because we really were roughing them up a little bit from those set pieces, particularly, like I said, Bissouma. But there's other players that can do that. Danso should be able to do that. So hopefully we can show a bit of a nasty streak tomorrow.
Well, reportedly, I mean, I was watching a credit to Ali Gold. I was watching his video before, and he says, I don't know if it's true, he claims that we've only scored 2 less goals from set pieces than Arsenal this season.
Is that right? Arsenal haven't scored one for a while.
But it's still mad to think, they're the set piece gods, and we've only scored 2 less. And apparently, from set pieces conceding wise, I think we've conceded 6. And that's only not far behind. I think it's less than Arsenal even, I think it's less than Arsenal. And as he said, for comparison, I think he said Man United have conceded 12 from set pieces, and we're only on 6. So I think maybe the whole narrative is a bit overblown potentially about how that being our weak point.
Yeah, but I think we have kind of spoken about that quite a lot throughout the seasons, that we're a lot better at defending them. We're not conceding as many. But whenever we do concede one, all the media is just like, oh, there's conceded another set piece again.
Narratives.
Yeah.
And I know we conceded one against Arsenal, which was an own goal. But since Kinski's come in, we have been pretty good from the set pieces, I feel. I think he's been good at coming for them. Let's look at the lineup, I guess, quickly before that we think Liverpool might play. I mean, look, it's still a fierce lineup, isn't it? Even without Trent. They've just got weapons all over the place.
Szoboszlai absolutely killed us in that 6-3 game.
Yeah, and I actually think, because he didn't play the first leg, and he was a big miss, I think, and him being back in the team is obviously, I'm assuming he'll be back in the team. He's obviously going to be massive, because I actually think aerially he's really good, very underrated. If they go full strength, obviously they could play a few other players. Obviously Quansah, I think, started the first leg. Went off injured, and then obviously Konate came on late on and got bullied by Solanke, but we're not going to have Solanke, unfortunately, in this one. Gakpo's in amazing form. Diaz, obviously Salah's in great form. So it's still going to be an almighty challenge.
The reality is,
look at that one injury. Is that all they have?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Joe Gomez was injured, but he's been past fit for the game. So I mean, it is all going against us. It is going to be all going against us. We're going to Anfield. We're going into the Lions' Den. But I don't know why, but there's just something about me that thinks we're going to do it tomorrow night. There's just something about me. And you know me, I've been very negative for the last 3-4 months, but there's just something about me that thinks Spurs are going to do it tomorrow. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I just got that feeling that by hook or by crook we might make it through. But be interesting on penalties if it does go there. I think Alisson has a decent record at penalties. We haven't seen Kinski face one yet.
I got a feeling Kinski's quite good at penalties. I don't know why as well. I've got a lot of feelings.
A lot of feelings.
And as well, Grandpa's going to be looking down on that pitch on Thursday night. So,
yeah, absolutely will be.
So we have something there as well. We have something that Liverpool don't have. So look, it's going to be a big occasion. What is your score prediction?
I am going to go for... I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1.
1-1. I think I've just got this weird feeling Liverpool will take the lead. They're going to pepper us. We're going to just hold strong, and then with half an hour to go, Sonny just goes for on goal, just bags us an equaliser, really against the run of play. We just get an equaliser and we just hang on for our dear lives, and we just scrape a 1-1 draw. I'm
going to go for 2-2. I think Spurs go 1-0 up really early. Liverpool go 2-1 before half time. Spurs get one back towards the end of the game, and then from then on it's really backs against the wall. We're hanging on, but we do it, and we do the job, and we go through.
All right,
there you have it. Let us know your scoreline predictions in the comments section below. It's Ashmatic and Marlon in the studio, which is good omens, people.
It is.
They usually, I think they've been there throughout the whole Carabao Cup run. So make of that what you will. But yeah, tune in to them tomorrow night. Come and have your say after the game as well, and speak to them about going to the Carabao Cup final. But that is your live stream. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.